Welcome to the show, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Let me fix that. Got an interesting show tonight. Thank you for coming in here today. And please repost the live and check it out, especially if you live in Georgia, right? Through the weekend and today, too, they had debates in Georgia for the primary races. They had Democrat debates, they had Republican debates, and it's really actually a cool thing that they're doing. The Atlanta Press Club and other places are doing this. I know that GOP and DNC entities are putting out these debates and stuff like that. But it's really a cool way for the voters to see who they're voting for, because I think in a lot of cases they don't know exactly who they're voting for, to help get out the vote, especially in the primaries. Because if we don't turn out in the primaries, then, especially for conservatives, we keep getting these rhino candidates, and they're like, and then come November, everybody's like, well, why can't we change things? Or why do we keep getting these horrible candidates? Well, this is the critical time right here that you're looking at it. And tonight we're going to, watch the first congressional district debate here in Georgia, which is Southeast Georgia along the coast, and we're gonna critique it because I think it needs to be. There are some issues with some of the candidates, and so we're gonna point some of these things out. You can decide for yourself. We're gonna show the debate. And we're going to give commentary. I'm joined by the gorgeous Madeline Elizabeth tonight. Thank you for coming in here.
Hi.
I appreciate you. Got the headband on, looking great.
Always.
Yeah, not me.
It's honestly because I'm always looking down and my hair is so long that it just falls right in my face. So I have like
Don't change
a whole
it.
basket of headbands, and I just like grab it. It's like a girl's scrunchie where most have like a rubber band. My mom always yelled at me for having rubber bands on my wrist, so I just always like throw a headband in.
Don't change it. You look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went for a motorcycle ride right before this, so I'm just kind of putting myself together here too, but not near as good as you. But so we got the debate. They actually had the governor's debate today too, which I didn't catch because it was right before this, but which I'm going to check out after this. But first congressional district, full disclosure, we are biased. We like Candace Taylor for
full disclosure, for sure.
Yeah. We want to let you know that we're pro Candace Taylor before we start this. But I think there are, some real issues that you're going to be able to pick up on yourself, not just coming from two Candace Taylor supporters, that you'll be able to see in the debate, because even the moderators are asking questions because they know that there are issues, and they were fair. To be honest with you, the moderators weren't terrible on this debate, even though it's slightly liberal. Most journalists are, but
well, and if you're not in Georgia, this race is a great example of grassroots versus establishment. And I have said this like multiple times. I actually talked to somebody in the press today at USA Today and at AP, and I said, if there is like one person who I think has done an excellent job running a grassroots campaign, it's Candace Taylor. And we know one of her opponents is definitely establishment. Father was a previous congressman and is now a foreign lobbyist. And so at the same time, we are running, and he also happens to have the Trump endorsement. So, but the thing is the people in this race, especially with it being a primary, they are very loud, especially in Georgia 1. And so if there's one person that I think could end up winning a grassroots campaign, it's Candace. And I will say this, if she does not win, I don't have a lot of hope for the rest of the grassroots campaigns across the U.S., especially with her being in a very red district. That also helps.
Yeah, I completely disagree with President Trump's endorsement, but I'm a Trump supporter, and I stand by President Trump. I just think he got it wrong in this case, and I don't think he sees what we see, because we're closer to the ground level. And so that's why I think it's important to have a show like this so we can let people know exactly what's going on.
Yeah. Well, and I think that, I know for a fact that there's a pretty famous senator out there that I confronted about his endorsement to one of her opponents, and he didn't even know about it, and basically it was a paid endorsement. So long story short, I think there's a lot of paid endorsements going on out there, and Trump's doing what he has to do. I support him, but everyone knows I have my opinions on Trump. Nobody's perfect.
Yeah. So let's get to it. So it's about an hour long. So we'll just bear with us here, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it from the start so you guys can see kind of the format and everything, and we'll just get into it. We'll make commentary. I may pause it if we have something important to say or whatever. So just check it out. All right, let's go here.
Anchor for WSAV TV in Savannah. Welcome to the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young Debate Series from the studios of Georgia Public Broadcasting. The 2026 debate series was made possible by grants to Atlanta Press Club from the Author M. Blank Family Foundation and the Robert Charles Loudermilk Senior Foundation. This is the debate for Republican candidates running for Congressional District 1. Congressional District 1 is in the corner of Southeast Georgia. Cities include Savannah, Brunswick, Jessup, and Waycross. We have two journalists who will question the candidates. Margaret Coker is editor-in-chief of The Current Georgia, which covers coastal Georgia, and Orlando Montoya is a news producer at Georgia Public Broadcasting. I am going to kick off today's debate asking each of the candidates to introduce themselves and tell viewers why they should be the next congressperson representing District 1. Candidates will have 60 seconds to introduce themselves. We will go in alphabetical order, starting with Pat Farrell.
Hello, I'm Pat Farrell, and I'm running because the families of the 1st Congressional District need reliable, conservative, experienced representation in Washington, D.C. I have graduated from Georgia Southern College with a mechanical engineering degree. I've lived in the district my whole life. I'm faithfully married for 36 years, father of 3, with 3 grandchildren. I own multiple small businesses. I'm a rancher, I'm a farmer, I'm a dock worker. I've been a county commissioner for over 21 years, and I'm the only candidate that has elected experience to speak the conservative voice. I support the president. I support the Second Amendment. I support pro-life. I support a balanced budget, term limits, strong national defense, and I back all local, state, and federal law enforcement. Public safety is number 1 for Pat Farrell.
Up next, Jim Kingston.
Ladies and gentlemen, I believe our country is at a turning point. President Trump's re-election back into the White House was like a life raft, but it's not enough. Our government is too big, and the challenges are too severe for one man to do this alone. I believe we need to pay less taxes, and we need to cut the red tape that is smothering our small businesses. My name is Jim Kingston. It is an honor to have the endorsement of my favorite president, Donald J. Trump. But I'm more interested in having the endorsement of everybody in Southeast Georgia. I'm going to work really hard to earn your vote. And if I cannot earn it today, I promise we will sprint through the tape and do our best to earn it May 19th. You can go to jimkingston.org if you'd like to do more and learn more about me. Thank you so much.
Brian Montgomery, you're next.
Thank you. My name is Brian Montgomery. I'm a Christian, a husband, a father, and a conservative Republican. And for the last 23 years of my life, I've had the honor of wearing the uniform of the United States Army. It's been a blessed life. I've gone from college dropout to following a calling to serve to the opportunity to attend West Point and graduate, serve as a paratrooper in the 82nd, and retire from Fort Stewart, Georgia, right here in the district. I've led soldiers in dangerous places, under pressure, and where excuses did not matter, results did. Out of all those opportunities, though, the greatest opportunity I've had is to meet my wife and to raise a family right here in Southeast Georgia. Those experiences have taught me and shaped me as a leader. Show up, listen, and put mission and people before self. And that's exactly what I've done the last 8 months traveling the district. I'm running because Georgia's 1st District deserves steady, service-first conservative representation, Service is not a light switch. It's at election time. It's a way of life. Early voting
Mr.
starts
Montgomery,
tomorrow.
your time is up. Krista Penn, it's your turn.
Good afternoon. I'm Krista Penn, and I'm running for Congress because service is who I am. After 9/11, I joined the United States Navy Nurse Corps because I am a patriot and I wanted to serve this country. I've also served over 20 years as a civilian nurse and a healthcare leader. I'm a former small business owner, and I'm married to a federal law enforcement agent. I deployed to Afghanistan, where I held the hands of our dying soldiers and washed the blood off their bodies. You don't need another career politician. You need somebody who understands service and sacrifice and is willing to truly represent you up in Washington. Vote Krista Penn, May 19th. Thank you.
Candace Taylor, please introduce yourself.
Right now, families back in my district are experiencing the most devastating wildfires that's ever hit the state of Georgia. Brantley County has been overcome, and almost 100 homes have already burned to the ground. It's moving into Wayne County and Glenn County, and it's these times that we look and we realize what's really important, which is life and our families and our community and being together as one people. We need someone who understands the area. I'm Candace Taylor. I've lived in Georgia's 1st District, my family, for 5 generations. I have 3 children. I have a husband. We both serve in public education. I spent 24 years fighting for abused children. I have a PhD in counseling. I have 4 degrees, actually. I believe in education. I believe that education is the way to the future. I also believe in a constitutional republic that we should protect at all costs. I'm in this race because I'm your fighter.
I just want to pause here. So, first of all, big difference in everybody's opener, right? The fires are huge, and we just got rain, so hopefully that helps their efforts to put these things out. But everybody starts talking about, themselves, whatever they're doing or whatever. Candace is talking about the fires because that's happening within this district. If you don't know that that's happening within this district, that's an issue if you're trying to run for Congress in this district. So good on Candace for pointing that out.
I also want to note that Candace is the only rural candidate on this stage. A lot of them come from Chatham, Savannah, more of the coastal area. But yes, for sure.
Yeah. All right. We'll get into it.
And now we hear from our final candidate this afternoon, Eugene Yu.
I'm hopefully future Congressman Eugene Yu. I'm here praying and hoping from the bottom of my heart. I want on your vote. I was a firefighter. I was a U.S. Army veteran. I was a deputy sheriff, law enforcement, and also a job creator. I was doing my business for the last 20 years. Now I'm ready to serve my constituents. America, somehow, most all the politicians, they lost what they need to be. I want the true statement. I want to serve my country, my district. People needed right representation. Eugene Yu, you for you.
Oh, God.
Thank you.
For the full set of debate rules, please visit Atlanta Press Club.
I would have a beer with
I will now go to the panel, starting with Orlando Montoya, who will ask a question for everyone to answer. And once again, you have 60 seconds, candidates, for your response.
Candidates, what's causing the high cost of living and inflation, and how will you work to address those problems?
That's the
We will begin with Mr.
number
Yu.
one concern by everybody I've talked to.
Inflation. Yes, we dealing with it every day. I think the central bank continuously printing the money. But most important thing, the China is sabotaging and doing the interfering with the U.S. bond market. And that makes that our inflation goes up, which a lot of American people, they just don't aware of. And we must win this, go finish this war with Iran and ultimately the China will cooperative with the U.S., then I think that we will get the inflation under control.
What he's talking about, so he's talking about China devaluing their currency, which, you know, it impacts our country, but the inflation is what they're talking about here. So that's we're more on what we're doing wrong in the USA currently to make this worse or whatever. So that's, yeah, he's talking about an issue that has a part, but it's like more to it. Like, what can you do as a congressional rep?
Candace Taylor, your response?
Affordability is the number one issue I hear about as I travel all 15 counties across Georgia's 1st Congressional District.
100%.
People don't have money to buy groceries. They can't pay their bills. They definitely can't buy a new home. We see young couples that don't even want to have a child right now because they don't know they can afford formula and diapers. And the number one thing that has caused this is the housing market, driving up housing from big financial institutions that have been coming in and buying singular homes and reselling them at astronomical prices. We have to get that under control very quickly. My favorite president, Donald Trump, not Joe Biden, who some people call Uncle Joe, he is the one that is doing the tariffs, and in long term, that's going to help. But we need resolution right now and quickly, because our people in the 1st District, they are struggling very, very hard right now to make ends meet. We need help now.
100%. So just an example, a real world example, the price of my home doubled in value, right? Did I double the size of my house? No, absolutely not. It's the you know, devaluation of the dollar really impacted that. And within first district, rents have gone up almost double compared to like prior to Joe Biden, almost double what they were before. So that's a huge concern for people living in this area. I know that. I live here. I know exactly what's going on.
I have to leave.
Can you not hear? Okay.
And good part.
Well, she can't hear me, so. All right. So, all right, moving on.
Krista Penn, your response now.
Well, inflation is something that was inherited from the previous administration, but things that can reduce inflation are cutting government waste and irresponsible spending. We need to increase American independence for energy, because that will help drive down the cost of fuel. And that's something that's directly affecting people's pocketbooks right now because they can't afford to put gas in their cars. That also drives up the cost of other things like groceries and the other things that people need, because the cost of fuel increases the cost of products coming from other industries. So we need to focus on reducing the waste and energy independence.
Brian Montgomery, you're next.
Listen, affordability impacts every hardworking American that lives in the 1st District. And it hits everybody, whether it's in healthcare, groceries, gas, you name it, insurance costs. Everybody is feeling that impact. And I'll tell you, the number one issue that has led to this much inflation and the pressure that people are feeling is reckless government spending. A failure of oversight for representatives to actually look for the fraud, waste, and abuse that exists in our government and pounding down on it. That's number one. Second, we need to reduce regulatory costs. We have small businesses that are working harder, overwhelmed by law, speak, and regulations that impact their ability to grow their business. We need to strengthen our domestic supply chains. We need to work on our energy production inside this country. And what I've learned across the last 8 months is the consolidation that is existing across major industries, whether it be healthcare, agriculture, public safety, or food. We need to stop the consolidation and bring transparency and competition back.
Jim Kingston.
Well, first of all, I want to point out that it gives me a lot of hope that the Democrat Party is ready to talk about inflation. For 4 years under Joe Biden, inflation never came up. Now that Trump is president, they're interested in getting the cost of living down. I think that's progress. I think that's a good thing. I think the best way to restore money back in people's wallets is to cut taxes. I would support a flat tax.
Well, I just wanted to make a comment. So his sister campaigned with Stacey Abrams, first of all. Second of all, he's the only candidate on that stage that has a picture with Joe Biden that his dad posted on his social media. So let's give a little context here. So, okay.
I would support a fair tax, but really, any step towards tax simplification is a step in the right direction. You work hard for your dollar. Let's not let Uncle Sam spend it, because time and time again, they've proven they don't know what they're doing with our money.
Pat Farrell, please respond.
As a small business owner for over 40 years, I've witnessed firsthand what inflation does to the business economy. How do we get a hold of it? Well, first of all, the first thing we did was get rid of the Democratic administration that ran inflation up to nearly 10%. Hasn't been that bad since Jimmy Carter ran it up to 18 to 21% inflation in a year, which is horrible for all the American families. We have to get our waste, fraud, and abuse out of the government. DOGE is a good thing. I support it, and I would double down on it if I was your congressman. Also, petroleum products are what runs this country, whether it's diesel fuel, jet fuel, gasoline, you name it. That's the bottom line. Everything that we buy is part of that equation. We've got to work on getting our petro cost as low as possible.
Our panel will now ask a question to an individual candidate. We'll start with Margaret Coker asking a question for Krista Penn. Once again, you have 60 seconds for your response.
Ms. Penn, as a Navy veteran and a veteran nurse and healthcare worker, it seems to me that you should be a front runner for this race, given the fact that healthcare is one of the most important topics that I keep hearing voters talk about all the time. However, our congressional district has never elected a woman. Is there a bias against Republican women in the 1st Congressional District? And what does being a female candidate bring to your advantage?
You are correct. There has never been a female congressional representative for the 1st District in its 250-year history. And there are approximately half of the people in this district and across this country that are women. And when I've been traveling across the district, I've been speaking to large women's groups. They're the ones that are turning out and wanting to hear from their congressional candidates. So I believe it's important that we have more representation in Congress. I also agree healthcare is a main concern. One of the main concerns, cost of healthcare. We need to reduce the cost of healthcare in this country. And I believe that we can do that by focusing on preventative care, keeping people out of hospitals in the first place, expanding.
So first of all, no, there isn't a bias. There's freaking 2 women candidates on the stage. So, and the leading candidate is a woman. So no, there's not a bias in the area. We want people that are patriotic within the area. So if you're a woman, you're a man. That's crazy, the question.
Also, she's running as like a shill for Jim Kingston. Literally, pretty sure Jim Kingston put her up to running.
Well, I mean, she could have answered the question. Like she just fluffed on the answer. The answer is no. There's 2 women candidates on the stage. Obviously, it's not the 1st Congressional District trying to keep women candidates out of this. The leading candidate is a woman, and just a ridiculous question. But that is the liberal media showing themselves right there. But whatever.
Wow.
He's
married to a man, but she looks like a lesbian. I asked Candace, I was like, is she a lesbian? She's like, she's married. I was like, she looks like a damn lesbian.
Well, all right.
The things I say.
Access to care in our rural communities and ensuring that we support insurance competition across state lines. Thank you.
Orlando Montoya, please ask your question for Candace Taylor.
Ms. Taylor, you ran unsuccessfully for governor in 22. What did you learn from that campaign that makes you think you could be successful in this campaign?
Well, I've learned a lot in 4 years. I served for 2 years as the Georgia Republican Party's first district chair. I spent a lot of time in all 15 counties hearing from the people and what the people want. I ran a grassroots campaign. When I ran in 2022, I had over 50,000 volunteers and I received 41,000 votes. Make that make sense. We still have the same voting system in this state. So we've had some good legislation that's been passed, and hopefully we'll get a fair legal election this time around. But I know that the people are with me. And if we had true polling numbers being shown, you would see that. The people are ready for change. They're ready for a woman because it's the right woman, not because I'm a female, but they're ready for somebody that's a fighter. They're tired of being ignored by aristocrats that think this is a dynasty and a monarchy and a chosen seat. They're sick of that. They want someone who's going to represent them, and I'm the one.
Yep, absolutely. And so, like, go ahead.
I was going to say, just like if you look at her mannerisms, I mean, if you've ever gone on the news or if you've ever been in a studio or a debate like this, the lights are really hot and there's a lot of like anxiety. So you're going to see where you look at all these candidates and there's like deer in headlights. They keep stuttering. If you watch Candace, her interpersonal communications and the way she is like answering the moderator, looking at him, then turning and facing the audience or cameras, it shows experience. And when you elect somebody in Congress, they have to be able to talk in front of the press and talk to the cameras. And from what I've seen, Candace, out of all of the candidates, is able to do that. And considering I talked to the press today, they're like, Madeline, you've been great. Like, Candace is great. She always answers for us too. And she's like, we cannot get a hold of any of the other opponents. I was like, well, there's a debate. I would just take their quotes from their debate then, since they can't get back to you. That's ridiculous.
And we got another panelist joining us. Matthew's joining us too. So
okay.
Well, hey Matt.
Hey Jay, thank you very much for having me on, man.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to freeze her while she was closing her eyes or whatever, but we had to add some context to the debate here. So feel free to jump in if you guys want me to pause or whatever. Just let her rip, dude. Honestly, if you guys
absolutely will.
You got something to say, just say it, man.
Appreciate it.
Margaret, it is now your turn to ask a question for Brian Montgomery.
Mr. Montgomery, you've said in previous candidate forums that you hope to get elected to support President Trump's agenda. Yet as a West Point graduate, you've also sworn an oath to defend the Constitution. There are many people in the Republican Party who believe that President Trump has broken the Constitution. Do you see a contradiction between that oath you swore and what you would do as a congressman to support the president's agenda?
Great question. So the main thing that we need to look at is that there is a lot of attention on whether or not the president has broke the Constitution. He has not, plain and simple. He breaks ground. He pushes hard to ensure that he serves the American people, and that's exactly what he's done. You know, when you look at my support for the president and his America First policies, you know, closing the border, which he did extremely successfully, bringing back manufacturing back to the United States, focused on the American worker and building our strength and respect across the world. That's why I say I respect and support the president of the United States. But make no mistake, for 23 years of service in the uniform, I swore an oath to the Constitution to protect and defend that document. And the Constitution will always be my red line when elected, if elected, as your next representative.
Orlando, you may now ask Jim Kingston.
Mr. Kingston, as you noted earlier, you are the Trump-endorsed candidate in this race. Mr. Trump called you a, quote, very successful businessman and civic leader. However, your campaign website does not have an in-depth bio about what you've done. So my question to you is, what successful business is he referring to, and what civic organizations do you belong to?
Sure. Thank you. My biggest civic organization is the Republican Party.
That's not public.
Non-answer.
That's not public service. Public service is law enforcement. Say you held an office, you know, a teacher, some like these. Those are like EMT. Those are public service. He's not being in the Republican Party is not public service. Absolutely ridiculous, and the moderator knows that.
I've been a lifelong Republican, and I'm very proud of my conservative credentials. As far as my business background goes, I work for the #1 insurance brokerage in the world.
I call bullshit.
Worked for You are not a business. You don't get to claim that you're a business leader if you work for a company. I work for a company too. Does that mean I'm a business leader? Oh my God, this dude, like, it's so ridiculous. I don't, if I work for a company, like I work for a big company, right? I do work for a big company. That doesn't mean I'm a business leader in the USA. Like, get the hell out of here. Like, it's just so much BS, right?
Well, and the guy's never served a day in the public sector. I mean, he's never served the public at all. He's openly stated that.
Served himself is what he
Well,
served.
we've done multiple we've done multiple checks. He is not currently working there. At least not to our knowledge. We've had multiple people. I've had an HR person call for me to find out and do basically a reference check for Jim. And they say he has not worked there, and he has not worked there for years. So I'm not quite sure why he keeps saying he's a leader, because the timeframes don't add up. But then again, none of his timeframes add up, which you'll see later. You know,
I've been promoted 3 times in 7 years. That doesn't just happen by anything other than hard work. I'm proud of my work ethic, and it's done me well in this campaign. But
well, you haven't shown up
to
any events until basically this one, right? So, okay, work ethic, right? That's
business. It's given me the opportunity to meet a lot of people, electricians, plumbers, contractors, folks with liabilities, folks with risk that I sell insurance to. It's given me the chance to hear a lot of stories. And one common theme I have always heard in business is people are fed up with Washington, D.C. I'll be a different type of candidate, and I'm going to be a different type of member of Congress.
He is Washington, D.C.
Margaret, it is now your turn to ask Eugene.
That sounds like a used car salesman to me.
Mr. Yu, you seem to personify the phrase, hope springs eternal. You have run for Congress in at least 4 different districts, and you've lost 4 times.
I can't with this.
What makes this time different?
Well, I don't want to give up. I want to continue fight, because what I've seen, my previous firemen as a military, as a law enforcement, and the business, and somehow in the politics, they just don't understand what's going around the world. They're just completely naive, and I want to bring it to what really goes on in around the world, and I want to really make America strong again. Make America affordable again, because I am careful about this country, because this country has been good to me. And before I get too old, I want to pay the country so much I love, the freedom. American dream still exists. Thank you and very much.
I love him. I would love to have a beer with this guy and just hang out with him. he's funny. It's like, I don't care. Like,
he's first off, he's harmless. Like, he's absolutely harmless in this race. Yeah. If he gets a 1% of the vote, I'll be, or 2% even, I'd be shocked.
Yeah, he's like Fetterman. I would like to have a beer with him. I think he would be the life of the party. Honestly, he's funny. All right.
Orlando, please ask the last question of this round for Pat Farrell.
Mr. Farrell, your primary experience as a public servant has been as county commissioner. How does that experience prepare you for Congress?
County commissioners are at the local level. Anything that's not accomplished at the federal level or the state level rolls downhill right to the local level. We catch all the issues that are not solved before they get there. We're involved in public safety, roads, bridges, libraries, you name it, anything, fire, police, law enforcement. County commissioners wear a hat where they have to fund and direct the constitutional officers and keep the county running. Without a good county commissioner, your county's going to experience difficulties, whether it's economic development, workforce development, or what have you. Simply by going from one county to representing 15 counties, I'm the guy who's ready to move forward and experience a larger stage and serve more people.
You sound
Candidates,
like it.
thank you. That concludes our first round. The candidates will now ask a question to an opponent of their choice. You will have 30 seconds to ask the question, 60 seconds to respond. And the person who asked the question will get 30-second rebuttal. And we will begin with Jim Kingston. You get the first question for one of your opponents this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Eugene, you and I are friends. We go back a long way. You've been a veteran. You've been a small business owner. Now you're running for Congress. I think you love this country the way I do. I talk a lot about the American dream. I want to know,
oh my God,
tell me about your experience in the American dream, because
Two very different American dreams, huh?
Yeah, very, very different. And
but
why,
it's just such a cop-out. It's so fake.
One was spoon-fed and the other one was worked for. I mean, you tell me.
But it's so fake. Like, you can tell he's literally going on the most harmless, asking the question to the most harmless candidate. You think he's going to ask Candace a question? She would.
No,
he's too afraid.
Not.
He would never ask Candace a question. He's definitely not going to ask Patrick Farrell a question.
And he knows that everybody's going to punch holes in his story, right? He knows that they're going to come after him. So he does a fluff question. Granted, his advisors probably told him to do this or whatever. They're smart.
And it makes him look positive and like he's not attacking anybody.
Right.
Well, he
and
could
he's
have asked Krista
respecting
Penn something, but then they really would have known she's paid as well.
Yeah.
I think you're living proof that it's alive and well.
Well, thank you for your comment, Jim. Yes, you and I, we've been going a long time. We've been friends. I believe American dream still exists. The people, they just don't understand what a great country we live on. Look at me. The little boy came from America, not knowing how to speak in English, become firefighter, become Army veteran, become law enforcement, become international business, exporting the Cummins Engine Company. Then later, I started my own business. That's the only thing happening in America. And I am living as an American dream. Just myself is American dream. So I want the people that know about who Eugene Yu is. Thank you.
Talks about speaking English.
Jim Kingston, your response to.
I want to thank everybody for reposting the stream. Thank you so much. We got 4,200 people watching, so we got good viewers here too. So we're getting out there. So I appreciate y'all.
What Mr. Yu has said.
Thank you for that. That is very inspiring, and I hope that everybody back home is listening and knowing that they too can thrive in this country despite their background and despite where they are from.
Oh man, especially if you're a part of the elite, huh?
Yeah.
God,
now,
he
Brian
looks
Montgomery,
just
please
like a
ask your
skittle
question to one of your opponents.
Thank you. Jim, I've lived a tremendous life of service to this country, and it has put me in leadership roles, and I've learned a ton, mostly through my failures. My question is to you is through your experiences, what have you seen as your biggest setback or challenge that you faced, and how has that prepared you, and what are you going to take forward as a possible next representative for the district?
Yeah, that's a great question, Brian. Thank you. One of the challenges I see is we have failed, and I have failed as a lifelong Republican, getting our people out to vote. You know, I call my friends, I knock on doors, I have phone bank, I have.
Yeah, as he does his Joe Biden campaign from the basement.
Right. Yeah, he hasn't done anything. He hasn't shown up to any events. Yeah, if you want to get people out to vote, it's definitely not your strategy.
Yeah, playing peekaboo.
He's done zero campaigning. The fact that he just said he's getting people out to vote is comedy. Like, what?
There's zero Jim Kingston campaign signs in the area. Nobody supports.
There's none around mine.
No, nobody
so
supports.
Yesterday, I'm online, like I'm clipping it, I'm posting on Candace's stuff, whatever. And when he said that, I literally grabbed a pen because I was like, oh, this is gonna gaslight Candace. I was like, come on, girl, keep it calm. You can do it.
Yeah, comment from Ann. She's not answering the question either. You're absolutely right. He isn't. All right, we'll keep going here.
I've put in a lot of yard signs for people that did not.
Zero yard sign. There are no yard signs.
But
None.
you know, it's not enough. We need to keep working hard as Georgia
He doesn't
turns
even know what he's
blue
talking about.
and we get more and more competitive. We need Republicans to turn out and vote. I feel that I have failed, Brian, here and there, getting my friends to participate in politics. I think this is very important, and this is a very important time in our country.
Brian, what's your response to Jim Kingston's?
Jim, I definitely appreciate that and that effort that you've put into building the Republican Party and getting right representation in the district.
Said he's full of shit.
You know, personally myself,
that's
I've
exactly
been in situations where people's lives are on the line. Been overran in Haiti when we were trying to distribute aid to those after the earthquake in Haiti. Every single instance, what I've learned from those experiences, that you have to continue to build teams. You have to answer the hard questions of what went wrong, own it, face accountability, and then move on to do the next right thing. But I appreciate your answer and the focus on the Republican Party. Thank you.
We are moving on now. It is your turn to ask a question now, Pat Farrell.
Thank you. Candace, it is good to see you again at yet another event. I'm sure you are shocked, like me, to see the Atlanta candidate here.
Boom.
The question for you is, why do you think
right.
the Atlanta candidate has refused to appear at any of the candidate forums? Do you think it is because he will be asked about living in Atlanta, or do you think it's because he is scared to answer questions about coming from a family of lobbyists that represent foreign countries?
Great question, Pat. And you and I are the only two up here that's lived in the 1st District all of our life, right? So it's fitting that we have to address someone who doesn't live in the district. In fact, I checked the voter registration. He moved here and changed it in May, right before he announced to be back in Savannah. So, you know, all I can speak to is facts. And the facts are that we have a candidate in the race who's not shown up for anything. And the other 5 of us have been showing up day after day with the people. And the people of the 1st District are smart people. I'm the only candidate that's not from Chatham County. I'm from Baxley. Ms. Shaw didn't mention Baxley at the beginning, but Baxley, Georgia is in the 1st District. 5 generations my family has been there. And we want to be heard, and we're going to be heard this time. I'm the only candidate from rural coastal Georgia, and we are not interested in any establishment, monarchy, hack taking our seat.
We damn sure aren't.
That's right.
Mr. Farrell, your rebuttal now?
Well, I guess his handlers have kept him on a short leash and insisted that he avoid public events and just stick to the filming of commercials while the rest of us work hard to get out into the district and to meet all the voters possible.
Yeah.
You owe it to your family and yourself and your supporters and your donors to absolutely go for it. Don't hold back.
I don't think it was a good idea to let him off the leash.
Nope.
They pushed him in
Jim
there.
Kingston, Pat Farrell is referring to you. What is your response to what he has said here this afternoon, and also what you've heard from Candace? You will have 30 seconds to respond.
Well, I understand desperate candidates say desperate things, so I'm not going to get caught up. But our state is getting more and more competitive. My car tag has always said Chatham.
Okay, his car tag says
because his mommy and daddy pay for it.
Yeah,
so?
that's right.
Are you kidding?
So just because you didn't update your vehicle registration doesn't mean you live in the district. Newsflash here. You know, my when I moved to Georgia, my tags were Tennessee. Why? Because I was in the Army and I was a Tennessee resident or whatever. But after I get out of the Army, I have to change them to Georgia or whatever. But apparently he hasn't changed his tags to Atlanta. But nice try, Jim.
County. My phone number has always said 912.
Oh, so you haven't updated your phone number. Well, newsflash, my phone number is a Florida number because I used to live in Florida. You don't have to change those anymore. That doesn't mean you live in the district. If you live in the district, you say something like, oh, I live in downtown Savannah, or, oh, I have a farm outside of Brunswick, Georgia. You don't say, I got a freaking phone number that's 912. You don't say my vehicle tag still says Chatham County. This is so full of shit.
You know, do not believe what you read and what you think is right in front of you, because you're probably wrong on this one. I will say this, though.
Probably right.
As far as me going places and the campaign I've run, I've had over 200 volunteers sign up on my website. I've been endorsed by over 50 elected officials in this district.
Because you
Everything
paid
from
for
the mayor of
them.
Tybee Island,
And your dad's
you represent Pat.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Yeah, your time is
Candace
up.
Taylor, you are next with your question to one of your opponents.
Sure. Jim, the counties in Georgia's 1st District are fighting Silicon Valley, solar panel farms, data centers. And while we've been fighting hard at county commissioner meetings and in the streets, Fox News reported that you took $1.5 million from Silicon Valley to push their agenda. How could anyone in Georgia's 1st District trust you to protect their interest when you've been paid millions to go against the people?
I'm ready for this.
Well, once again, that's not true. I haven't been paid millions.
Okay.
Bullshit.
So first of all, that's you have to publicly disclose that information as by the FEC rules or whatever. So if he's lying about this, that's a problem. Like, that's a huge problem. It should send up red flags. You guys can check this.
Oh, Jay,
Well,
wait for what he
can't
says next,
start-
because wait until what he says
I answered
next.
this last night. Like, FEC, because you have to wait till the end of the financial quarter for it to post. Also, they're going to be using a lot of that money for ads and other things in that manner. However, Fox News has specifically named him and put him in the news for saying he's accepted 1.5 million from this PAC. And this PAC is real. And a lot of the candidates and the incumbents that have endorsed him and that are in this big boys club in DC, the establishment, they have all been provided money from this PAC as well.
And if you talk to anybody in the district, they're concerned about, they don't want an AI data center here. They're looking at putting one in Port Wentworth, Georgia. There may be other ones also, but that's one of the big ones that they're looking at right now. You ask anybody within the district, they do not want this stuff here. So if you are not wanting AI data centers here, pay attention to what he's saying right now, because I think he's lying.
Candace says
90% of my donations are from the state of Georgia. Half of my donations are from people.
Bullshit. So AI will fact check this. So most of his donations are through big PACs, and which come ultimately from corporations. Large donors are his main sponsors. Candace has taken zero PAC money.
Well, a lot of his money came in the day he got into the race.
Yep. He came with that money.
A huge portion of his money came in the first day he got into the race.
Propped up artificially.
Yep.
Received a donation from all 15 counties in Georgia's 1st District. This stuff doesn't happen. It doesn't happen magically. It does happen by you going out, meeting people, getting to know folks, and make the case. And by the way, some of these folks I've made the case to have heard from the other candidates and still chose to support me.
He meant to say
Candace
photo
Taylor
ops.
from Baxley, your rebuttal.
Thank you, Tina. So I guess we'll expect a lawsuit on Fox News for lying that you took $1.5 million, because they literally reported that. However, I will say that the people of the 1st District are the ones saying they're tired of the money. They're tired of this. You don't show up. You say you're going to go to this GOP meeting, Camden County, Ware County, Glenn County, and you don't show. And anybody can go and talk to the GOP chair and prove it. So you saying you are for the Republican Party is a joke.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Mr. Yu, you may now ask a question to one of your opponents.
Here we go.
I ask
I can't with this. Can I ask myself a question?
Don't you have a question? For sure you do, for one of your opponents.
I like all my opponents. You know, my Republican candidate, I like them all.
Ask yourself a question.
However, I want to ask myself,
Go
why
straight ahead.
are you keep running to the U.S. Congress?
Oh,
Well, I got one issue. I cannot see my own eyes,
That's 'cause
all
your
these
eyes are
other
like
countries, so-called ally, abusing the America. When I get elected the U.S. Congress, first thing my legislate doing the Congress, I want to put in paper, we American need to get out of the United Nations. We want to get out of NATO.
I agree.
We need to check all
these
these so-called ally.
Yep.
And we need to take care of American first.
Yeah.
We don't want to wasting all that money to oversee.
Exactly.
We need to take care of our
$50
own money.
still going up.
That's why I'm running. Am I right, Eugene? Yes, I am right.
Right.
Yes, you're right, Eugene.
Krista Penn, you are next. You have the last question of this round for
is gonna
one
be
of your
dry.
opponents.
So, Jim, I've spent over 2 decades serving this country. I've served patients, and there's others here who have served our country for over 20 years. What are you going to do if you're elected to Congress to truly serve the people back in the 1st District?
He's not.
Thank you, Ms. Penn. And I guess we know who
What a
everyone deems as the
paid
front runner
for
since I got the
question.
majority of questions.
We guess
listen here,
everyone
though,
knows who's the front runner.
Thank
What
you
a
for your
dork.
service. It's an honor.
Yeah, that's not that. Talk about like being humble or whatever. Like he's not humble at all, right? So he's.
And well, you know who's paying for the most polling? It's got to be Jim, and he's not releasing the polls. He's
Yep.
definitely not the front runner.
That's how you know he's not the front runner, right? If you're paying for polls, you release the results if you're the winner.
That's right.
And so
Yes.
it's BS.
Honor to be on stage with 3 veterans. To me, y'all paid the ultimate sacrifice. And it is our job as members of Congress and political people to make sure that when y'all come back home, y'all have access to the greatest healthcare in the world. The VA is doing much better under Secretary Doug Collins, who Trump appointed and is a proud Georgian. But we need to make sure that when veterans go visit those clinics and those hospitals, it's efficient and y'all have access to affordable and strong health care.
Hey Jay, can we pause it right there?
Yep.
So I got to say something. Is this guy on the stage talking about how much he cares about these vets while he's also endorsed by the military industrial complex? I mean, who are we really representing, and who are we trying to pander to by saying you respect these vets while you're endorsed by the military industrial complex?
Yeah, right. You're absolutely right. He is to the highest
that his dad lobbies for. His dad is an active lobbyist for Boeing. I mean, come on, man, we got to get out of here with this stuff. Don't say you respect and care about these people if you're ready to send them to war. I mean, come on.
Absolutely right, man.
Response, Krista?
I agree with what you've said about supporting the VA system and ensuring that our veterans get the care that they need. But having a healthcare background and understanding what it really means to make decisions that significantly impact people's lives, I think is very important in order to ensure that we are making the right decisions for our veterans. Thank you.
Which he doesn't have a fucking clue what people need, right? He doesn't have a clue. Like, so she threw him a softball or whatever so she could make him look good or whatever. I don't know why she would do that, but
I do. I do.
Well, I do, but I don't. I don't know the specifics behind it. But
we'll probably find out in a few weeks or in about a week.
Yeah, when she throws her endorsement too.
Yeah, that's right.
You are watching the Republican primary debate for Congressional District 1. We'll now go back to the panel, who will ask questions to the candidates of their choice until we run out of time. We begin with Margaret Coker.
Mr. Kingston, I'm directing my question to you, not because you are the purported frontrunner, but because you have not answered our reporters' questions as we've been calling you for weeks. I'm going to start with the basic one. There's a widespread perception as we travel through the 15 counties of the 1st Congressional District that you are trading on your father's name to get elected.
Absolutely.
Your father has been a very successful lobbyist for several years. Because you don't show up at county debates, because you don't answer questions, why should voters trust that you are going to serve them and not your father's lobby clients?
Well, first of all, I don't accept the premise that I don't talk to the press. I talked to the Coastal Carrier in Hinesville the other day. I've talked to the Baxley newspaper. I've talked to the Darien News. I've been on the Bob Morgan show in Jessup. It's not true saying that I don't talk to the press. So
bullshit.
I do want to correct that.
That hurts
Let me
feelings.
pause this real quick. I talked to 2 reporters today. I have receipts. I also come with a receipt that I've been writing somebody from the Current who keeps writing these slush pieces about Jim Kingston, and I keep screenshotting them to Candace because I'm like, I keep asking him, like, how much are they paying you? And then I wrote him again today. I was like, because he wrote another article, and I'm like, this is just the payroll continues. And he's like, who is this? He's called Candace trying to figure out who I am. Well, if he sees this, he'll know. But yeah. It's the only reporter he'll talk to. It's somebody he's paid to talk to. It's absolutely insane.
Got to keep him in the bubble wrap.
He's his own biggest enemy. Like if he gets out there and talks a whole bunch to a lot of people are going to realize that he's full of shit. Honestly,
I love my dad. I had a great dad, have a great mom, a great grandmother.
I had
4
a
great
great
nephews,
dad,
and
so you
a
got
beautiful
daddy
niece,
issues.
Birdie. But this isn't about my family, Margaret. This is about every other family in Georgia.
Which I'm just going to point out, his family, his sister worked for Stacey Abrams. So just let's talk about families or whatever. Like I would know if my sister was working for Stacey Abrams, I'm going to have serious issues with my family. Like I don't care. Like whatever, like we're going to have real issues or whatever. You're working for Stacey Abrams or whatever. But yeah, so whatever.
I am not hiding who I am or what I stand for. But what I did learn as a child from my parents is how to work hard. I've brought that mentality to me.
Working hard, right? This is the first like debate event that he's shown up to. So hard work. Tell us about it, Jim, because they've been going for months. The other candidates have been going to debates for months. You haven't done anything.
To the private sector, and I'll bring it to the public sector as well.
We are moving on now. Orlando Montoya, please ask your question.
My question is for all the candidates. Does the federal government have a responsibility to make sure that all Americans have health care coverage?
And we'll begin on the side closest to me, Pat Farrell.
The federal government, according to the Constitution, have certain parameters that they are responsible for. I do not recall them being responsible for health care for all Americans. The good news is that at the county level and at the local level, all folks in this country that show up at a hospital get treated for whatever their ailment is. So there is a safety net out there. But as far as the federal government being mandated to provide health insurance, I believe that is a Democratic National Committee priority to bend the rules and the guidance from our founding fathers. I believe that the local level is the best place to solve most problems, and so did the founding fathers.
Well, the Democrats want illegals to have health.
Jim Kingston, your thoughts?
That's the real story.
As a member of Congress, I'm going to support any market-driven healthcare solutions. And I agree with what was just said. When it comes to Medicaid, it's meant to be a safety net, not a lifestyle. We want to help those in need, and that's what our federal government is for, but it is not meant to be taken advantage of. Our healthcare and our health insurance systems have been taken advantage of time and time again.
By illegals.
As a member of Congress, I would support efforts to get rid of the waste, fraud, and abuse.
You're going to support whoever pays.
Brian Montgomery, your thoughts?
There was no solution there. There was just like
healthcare is critically important to just about everybody I spoke with. Families are worried about their premiums, prescription drug costs, deductibles, and bills. You know, what I've seen throughout is we have physicians and healthcare providers that want to provide service to the patients. And we have patients that are seeking healthcare. And then there's this middleman there that's preventing that from occurring. So I do believe that federal government has a responsibility to open up the market. We need to include price transparency. We need to work hard to increase competition across the healthcare market. We need to support rural health through telehealth and making sure that we have providers there. But more importantly, when it comes to healthcare, the most critical thing we can do is get providers interested in being a part of the healthcare system. And that's incentivizing physicians, nurses who are critical to our healthcare to work in rural environments and get more of these healthcare providers into the system.
Krista Penn, please share your response.
So I agree with Brian that we do need some federal programs to help support healthcare, but we don't want healthcare run by the federal government. We have that in the VA system, and look at all of the issues that we've had over the years. It's starting to get better, but part of that is because they're partnering with civilian healthcare organizations to provide care. We also don't want it because if you see it up in Canada, I worked with people who lived in Canada because I lived near the border at one point, and they would come down to the US and pay with a credit card for care because they were waiting too long up there. And I know someone personally that had a brain tumor that had to wait 4 months for surgery. We don't want that here in the United States. So we need to encourage driving down the cost of care, preventative care, expanding into rural communities, and taking care of the waste, fraud, and abuse.
Candace Taylor, it's your turn.
Capitalism built America, and capitalism will be what saves America, and that includes healthcare. Anytime the government gets involved, they ruin things. And it started with Obamacare, Affordable Care Act. They've ruined healthcare. You have local communities like mine that the hospital about goes bankrupt, and then we'd have nowhere to go when we have a true emergency. And that comes to my point. We need a trauma center at the emergency room that treats ingrown toenail or a fever, not just going in and spending thousands of dollars on an emergency room visit. There are simple, common sense solutions to healthcare that no one is doing, no one cares to listen to. We're just going behind the 8 ball, just fighting from behind. We need to be proactive in fixing this problem. And like I said, it starts with capitalism. And so the Democrats, I listened to their debate a while ago, and them pushing for universal health care. Who's going to pay for it? We're trillions of dollars in debt.
The next
how
man's
are we
gonna
going to
pay
pay
for
for
it.
it? Nobody thinks about how to
Not
pay
me,
for it. They
but
just want
them.
to talk about it.
Yep.
Yep.
She's right. She made a very, very good point too, like about like how, there are things that you need to go to the ER for, but why should you get like a $50,000 bill for something minor or something like that? That's common sense, right? She nailed it right there. Like you gotta be able to like cut through the red tape. You gotta be able to see like what it is at the ground level in order to solve these things, and competition, allowing for competition will drive down costs, because the next company is going to try and undercut to try and get the business, right? That's how it all works. And so when the government gets involved, they know it's a guaranteed check. They know that they can drive it up to the maximum amount that the government will give them, and they're going to be guaranteed that. So she nailed that question for 100%.
And now your response, Eugene Yu.
Thank you. I'm pretty much agree with all my Republican candidate. But however, my focus is, if we watch wasteful money, wasteful spending, especially illegal, we got so many millions and millions of illegal immigrants in this country, and they taking all this advantage out of our great health program, which draining our resource. So we need to focus on try to get rid of all these illegal immigrants, take advantage out of our healthcare system. Of course, in our rural first district, yes, people need Medicare, and the federal government and the state government and local government, we need more cooperation, understanding what's going on, and we need the help to the people.
Yeah. So just to add a little context too, he's right on a couple different points there. But I had Patriot Barbie on last week, and she made a post or whatever. 1 in 10 births right now in American hospitals is an anchor baby in America. So you want to talk about illegals taking advantage of this? Now they become an American citizen under the 14th Amendment. Now they're nearly impossible to deport. Their family is nearly impossible to deport. So when you talk about exploiting this system or whatever, it's happening in real time, and we're paying for it all, and it sucks.
Well, they're driving up the cost. I mean, they're driving up the cost of the beds. Candace talks about a trauma center and how we can drive down the cost of beds in hospitals. When you have illegals who don't pay taxes and who don't have insurance coming in and taking those resources, then all the taxpayers that are sitting in the waiting room, those are the people that have to end up paying their bill because their bill is 5 times what it is, because they're paying for all of the illegals. And you see it all the time, especially in the bigger cities. And as time has gone, we're starting to now see it taking over the smaller town hospitals and whatnot. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Margaret Coker, we go back to you.
My question is for Mr. Montgomery. This current Congress has declined to debate or hold any hearings about the current military operations in Iran. My question is, do you support that position? As a member of Congress, what would you do in order to hold the Defense Department and the White House responsible for putting our troops in danger overseas?
Yeah, so another great question. Thank you very much.
Hold them responsible for what? So she's already alluding to that there's a crime been committed, right? So do you hear the liberal bias in her response. Now, granted, whether you agree with the war or not, but like she's already alluded to, they have committed a crime or something, which they haven't. But all right, whatever. With her question. So,
listen, I supported the strikes on Iran when the president made that decision. Now, I don't know what the intel he received to do that, but I do know how evil the Iranian regime was. We lost our first casualty in my second deployment to Iraq to our Iranian-provided weapon system. They have been causing death and destruction throughout the Middle East for well over 4 decades, and it needed to stop. And the president took action to do that. Now, that initial action and the intel that he got, absolutely correct. But from here on out, before we put any soldiers into Iran or continue the operation, this discussion needs to go back to Congress, and it needs to be debated, and it needs to have the support of the American people. There is only one thing worse that we can do than breaking our contract with our veterans after they've served, and that's not having the discussion that needs to take place to give them a clear mission and a clear outcome and the resources required to accomplish that mission.
I would like now to use my moderator privilege, panelists, if you will, to ask a question of the candidates. Both parties in this race have expressed concern over crime rates in Savannah and Brunswick. While some call for strict federal background checks and even red flag laws, others argue that the focus should be on mental health and our school security. Knowing that you must represent both urban and rural interests, what gun measures would you be willing to enact at the federal level?
So I want to add a little context here. So in Savannah, she's talking about Savannah, and she's talking about Brunswick, in the rural areas or whatever. But so the issue in Savannah is they have a Soros-funded DA. And she took a murder conviction rate that was up over 90% and brought it down into 30%, like in the 30 percentile, right? So if you want to talk about the issue in Savannah, which there's a lot of crime within Savannah, that's what they need to talk about is having a Soros-funded DA that basically made it impossible to enforce the law there. It's like they have people that were being let out. You see this all across the U.S. where the people that should have been in prison for multiple felonies or whatever let out on the streets, and then they go out and murder somebody else. It's happened several times under their DA or whatever. But they're going to go into the gun control question or whatever, which we'll hear from the candidates,
if any at all. And I will begin with Mr. Yu.
That was a very good question. That I am former law enforcement, and actually when I was a deputy, I was patrolling the street. That I do know about all this crime going on. Yes, the street safety is very, very important. However, I think there's common sense in the people. It's all relating to the economic. When the people have a job, people have to do work, and instead of working, they're not going to get into trouble. So, again, your question, the gun, yes, we have, I believe Second Amendment, but we need a certain amount of background check. But again, I mean, that is our Constitution. I believe in Second Amendment. So there's nothing we can do more than we just continue on what we have.
Candace,
Joe Biden moment.
Share your thoughts.
Yeah, absolutely no to that question. I would not enact more gun
Boom.
laws at all.
They'll not be afraid.
Because guns don't kill people. Sick
That's
people kill people. There was a sick man last night that came in and tried to kill our president. It shouldn't happen in America, but it does because mental health is out of control. In just Georgia, 12 years ago, we released 9,000 inpatient treatment individuals on the street, and all of them are either still homeless or incarcerated or dead. That's a problem. We need inpatient treatment. We need it quick. We're seeing, I work in public education, we're seeing increased numbers of suicidal ideation, suicidal attempts in youth. I think social media plays a big part into that, but how we regulate that is through threat assessments, and it's through armed guards at our schools, and they say, oh, well, that don't look good. People don't come into a building they know is armed. A shooter doesn't come in there if he knows he's going to be taken out. And so we have to be diligent and vigilant about protecting the children, but we don't do that by restricting people who have the right to carry and protect their families.
Absolutely right. So
That's right.
if Congress said that we're gonna pass this bill that's $200 billion, right? Because we send billions of dollars overseas, right? With 200 billion here, 200 billion there, it never ends, right? If you said that we're going to pass a bill that $200 billion that's going to provide security for the 115,000 schools in America, hardly anybody in
that's
America.
Right. 95% would back that. No problem.
Bipartisan support. Democrats
Absolutely.
and Republicans and independents would absolutely support. Our kids need to be safe, and we need to
common
have
sense.
Yep, 100%.
Honestly, this is where Candace, we really do need someone like Candace in Congress, because a lot of the educators who do go to DC, they typically go on the left side, and Candace can help us with reasoning and figuring out the right with education policy, sending it back to the states, with protecting everyone with the guns, because that's a huge thing on the left. Every time a new school shooting happens, it's let's take the guns. So I feel like she would be a great voice and a real fighter, not only for keeping our rights with guns, but I also think for education. And we don't have it enough on our side of the aisle.
Yeah, and she knows the ground level issues, and she does deal with more than just the teaching part. She deals with the family issues, the crisis issues, the real world things or whatever. Like, I don't want to put her business out there and what she does or whatever, but like, she's dealing with very, crazy situations that are happening with the kids, and she's doing it because she loves her community and she loves those kids. So, that's why you need somebody like that.
Now we turn to Krista Penn for your response.
I'm a strong Second Amendment supporter. I believe that we need to enforce the laws that we already have in place, and we need to do that by supporting and backing our local and federal law enforcement agents. We need to continue to support immigration and customs enforcement, because some of the contribution to the crime in our areas is a result of illegal immigration, and we need to continue to attack that problem as well. I agree that if communities aren't safe, then they can't focus on their work. They can't focus on taking care of their families. So it does need to be a priority, but we need to support our law enforcement so that they can do their job.
Brian Montgomery?
I fully support the Second Amendment. And Krista, you're absolutely right. The issue is not more rules and more regulations. It's enforcing the laws that we have on the books right now. And that's exactly what our law enforcement is doing every single day. I've had the opportunity to meet with police chiefs, county sheriffs, and the men and women that protect our communities are putting their lives in harm's way every single day for you. And they need the support. And where that comes from is when they're arrested, they're arrested and go in front of the court system. We need a court system that actually holds them accountable. The amount of times that I've walked in and seen an arrest sheet from the past 30 days of how many of them were dismissed and they never faced the consequences for their actions, that needs to be fixed. Secondly, the mental health issues that we have in this country are real. And if you look around to all the jails, over 50% of the population are mental health cases that need the right support in order to help them out. I fully support the Second Amendment. I fully support our law enforcement, and we just need to hold people accountable for their actions.
And Jim Kingston, you're next.
Yeah, thank you. I'm not in favor of any measurement that would punish law-abiding citizens. I support the Second Amendment. I support gun rights, but I also back the badge of the over 50 elected officials that I mentioned earlier supporting me in this campaign. I have 11 of the 12 Republican sheriffs helping me. Those guys know that I support law and order. We need law and order restored in this country. I'm a proud supporter of the Second Amendment, and I will not waver on the right to bear arms if I am a
So more political endorsements that he's talking about or whatever, but it's coming from his dad, right? He's calling in his political endorsements or whatever. Like, if you talk to regular people out here, I've not met a single person that supports
member of Congress.
And Pat Farrell.
Thank you. We do not need any more federal level gun control. The books are loaded from the federal, state, and local level. This is a concept that the Democratic National Party is putting out there. We see what happens in a country like Iran, where the citizens are stripped of all rights to carry any kind of firearms. We just lost 40 to 50,000 of their citizens due to their very corrupt government assassinating that many citizens to keep them under control. The reason we have the Second Amendment is to keep a rogue government from overtaking our country. So I will not support any more federal regulation. Having been a county commissioner, I understand the issues of gun violence, but it takes the cooperation of the elected local officials, the governor, the district attorney, the police department, and the police chiefs to enforce all the laws that are on the books, and they should have consequences when criminals take action that is against the law.
Candidates, thank you. We turn now to Orlando. It's your turn with another question.
Question for the candidates. Is the current Congress exercising enough legislative power to check the executive? And is that good or bad for the country?
We will begin with Pat Farrell.
Liberal question.
Thank you. There are certain enumerated duties of the three branches of government. It appears that there's a lot of elected officials at many different levels, including Congress, that kick the can over to either bureaucracy or somebody else to do their job. It is time for elected officials to stand up and have the backbone to do what they're supposed to do. That includes Congress and many other different offices. As being an elected official for 6 four-year terms, I understand the consequences of certain elected officials not holding the bureaucracy in order and delegating their regulations and their interpretations to lifelong bureaucrats.
Jim Kingston, your response?
Yeah, thank you. The president knows exactly what he's doing. He's got all the lawyers in the world to help guide him. We've seen this president get shot at 3 times. We've also seen him be impeached time and time again for no reason. If he stepped out of bounds, we would hear about it. But you know what? Time and time again, President Trump survives. He is by far the most effective president in my lifetime. He is shaking up a town that absolutely needs to be shaken up. I'm proud to support President Trump, and I'm proud that President Trump supports me.
Brian.
Didn't he say that he wasn't a hard supporter of President Trump? Am I mistaken here? Like, didn't he tell a local GOP that he wasn't like a strong supporter? He wasn't MAGA. He's more of a libertarian. I correct me if I'm wrong, but
he has, and he also has said that he would support Trump, but he'd support any president, basically alluding to that whether it be Trump or another Republican, he'll get behind the president. But that's a cop-out. That's basically him saying, I'll just support whatever Republican president that goes into office, instead of saying, I fully endorse and support Trump. He probably couldn't even tell you 5 things that Trump actually ran on as of a platform.
Well, and your dad doesn't post on X hashtag Uncle Joe unless you're endearing to Uncle Joe.
Right.
So he's not. We're not gonna circumvent that.
Great. And so what Matthew's talking about, for those that don't know, is Jack Kingston, Jim Kingston's dad, posted a photo of Jim and Jack with Joe Biden and
hugging up on Uncle Joe.
Yep, exactly right.
Montgomery, you're next.
Thank you. I've retired from the military. I transitioned into the private sector, and this is my first jump into politics. I didn't dip my toes in it. I jumped in head first and yelled cannonball on the way down. But over the last 8 months, moving around the district and speaking to families, what I've learned is that very few people participate in this process. I don't know if it's just
hold on, pause it, Jay. You gotta pause it. You gotta pause it.
Cycle.
So I'm pretty sure that this is the first Republican primary he's ever participated in. Not to throw any shade on Brian, but I'm pretty sure this is the first Republican primary he's ever participated in. He said he's not dipping his toes, he's jumping in. I don't think he's ever voted in a Republican primary. So I just think it's odd that now he's jumping right in. So I think that needs to be brought to light.
Yeah, I mean, it's, for me, like Candace and I were talking about this the other day, and I was like, I think I voted in every election that I've had the opportunity to. I voted a Tennessee resident for a long time while I was in the military. And even though I didn't live in Tennessee that whole time or whatever, like I'm pretty sure I voted in every single election I could. If I didn't, it was because my absentee ballot didn't get to me or whatever. So that's a concern too. Like if you haven't voted in some of these things or whatever, like like I've always been involved since I was 18 years old.
But what we're doing is we continue to send the same people up to Washington, D.C. They're either in it for themselves to get rich, they're in it to become influencers and raise their name population. But what I'd like to ask to get the real work done that you need done for you, a government that works for you and not against you, is pay attention to this process, seek out information, and vote for the candidate that you believe will best represent you.
And Krista Penn, you're next.
I think Congress is broken. And one of the reasons that I felt called to step into this race is because of that, because it is time for us to move the career politicians out. It's time to get back to for the people, by the people. And I have signed the pledge for term limits. I think that we need to go up there, people who have real broad life experience, to serve and truly serve the people back down in their district. That's why it's called the House of Representatives. I think we've gotten too far away from that. Too many government shutdowns. Congress doesn't care about the people anymore back down in their district, and that needs to change.
Candace Taylor, it's your turn.
Yeah, I'm going to try to answer the question. So I do not think that the legislative branch needs to push back on the executive branch. I think that the legislative branch needs to wake up and do their job, which is codifying the wonderful things that our president has done since he's been back in office. And I'm very concerned that we have a Republican majority in the House and the Senate, and they can't get the job done. Their approval rating is in the ditch. And the reason why is because we have weak politicians in office making themselves rich, dealing with foreign nations like lobbyists, dealing with their own people and not dealing with the people back at home that elected them to do a job. And so if we don't get the lobbyists out of the pockets of the politicians, we're never going to see change. We're going to go completely broke.
100%. Finally, Eugene, you're
during the election, most candidates, they talking good about when they're going to get elected. Guess what? Every politician go to Washington, they become Washington swamp because they're looking for their personal interest, special interest. Lobbyists are running those congressmen. And Eugene, when you elect me, I don't owe nobody in Washington. You elect me, I'll represent you, I will fight for you, I will defend and protecting your Constitution, and I will do every possible way to protect your interest. Thank you.
Thank you. Margaret, do you have one last question?
Thank you. I have a question for Candace Taylor. Ms. Taylor, former Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene has broken with President Trump on some very important issues. And there's a widespread debate right now about what America First actually means. My question to you is, are there any decisions that President Trump has made in his second term that you disagree with? And what does America First actually mean to you?
Marjorie, I've met numerous times, but I'm not her. I am Candace Taylor, and I love Jesus with all of my heart. And I'm going to go and protect our values that I hold dear. And the president has done a phenomenal job. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. He is my president. He is not my savior. And I'm not going to agree with him all the time, but I'm going to unify this party, and I'm going to fight as hard as I can to get the Republican agenda passed.
Candace, I want to stop you there. I appreciate your time. We are running out of time. That's all the time that we have for questions now. The candidates will have 60 seconds.
You still nailed it, even though they cut her off.
Krista Penn, we start with you.
As I said before, Congress is broken, and you deserve something different. And I feel that I can bring that to this seat. And first and foremost, I want you to know that I don't believe that this seat belongs to Washington.
Why does
I
she
believe
talk
it
like
belongs
she's talking
to
with
you,
her it
the
is?
people of the 1st District of Georgia. I worked in healthcare for over 20 years, so I know and understand it. I've served this country for over 20 years, so I understand military and veteran issues. I've been married to a federal law enforcement officer for over 20 years and have lived experience, not talking points. I believe that I can truly serve you
and be the voice that you're needing to represent you up in Washington. Vote Krista Penn May 19th. Early voting starts on Tuesday. Thank you.
She's very much.
Pat Farrell, you're next.
Yeah, cardboard.
I'm the candidate that can not only talk the talk, but I can walk the walk. I'm the only experienced elected official running in this race. I know what it takes to get things done. I've worked in a county that's 60% or better Democrat, and I still was able to get things done. That's not a skill you can learn on the internet or go to college for or get handed down by a family member. That's just raw experience. As a small businessman, a rancher, a farmer, I'm the guy who's lived the life, who's done the work, and I'm ready to go represent because I have been representing one county. I'm ready for all 15. Send Pat Farrell to Congress.
Eugene, you?
Yes. Every generation of American has had to fight for freedom, and our generation is no exception. The difference today, our greatest enemy is not a foreign government or terrorist group. The dual threat to the American freedom is the lack of understanding of the meaning of freedom in the hearts and minds of Americans. Public policy deployed by elected officers continue to put out, and they lost the sight of why America is great. Yes, America is great.
Your time has ended. Thank you. Jim Kingston?
Ladies and gentlemen, our founding fathers brilliantly set up the Constitution to have three separate but equal branches of government. While I'm proud to support President Trump, he can't do this alone. We need strong soldiers in the legislative branch. Donald Trump needs more allies in Congress. And I'm proud to stand with President Trump, but I would also be proud to stand with you and 50 other elected officials and 150 other volunteers who have offered to phone bank and knock on doors the next 3 weeks on my website. Please go to jimkingston.org. We are building a coalition of the willing, and we will not stop until next November.
It's a little late,
The stakes
buddy.
are too high to slow down. And
Didn't he say he had 200 people? His numbers don't match up, but whatever.
That's right. They constantly
Have
change.
you guys, everyone, you don't take our word for it. Go look at his social media and then go look at somebody like Candace's. She'll have like 100 shares. She'll have like 50 comments on every post. All of the comments on Jim Kingston's posts are like, vote Candace Taylor. He sucks. Coattail Kingston. Like, the best was the testimonial, and some guy was like, dude, that's your aunt. Does that really count?
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Right.
One take testimonial from the aunt.
God damn.
consequences are too severe. Thank you for your time, and thank you, Georgia Public Broadcasting, for having me.
Brian Montgomery, it's your turn.
You know, Jim, you said something there. I think it's the first time that I've really agreed with you. The district does need a soldier. That's all right. You said it. Your heart said it. Before I walked out on stage today, I talked to my team and I said, I never imagined when I was walking in waist-high sewage water in Iraq that I would have an opportunity to be on a debate stage to fight to be the representative for the first district. We live in a district that's truly blessed. It defends America, it drives the American economy, and it feeds America. And it deserves a warrior that's going to get out, show up, listen, and fight for you every single day. And that's exactly what I've done. And if you're ready for that type of service to be your representative, I ask for your vote. Starting tomorrow and Election Day on May 19th, I'd be honored to receive your vote. Thank you.
And Candace Taylor, you're next.
Okay, thank you for everyone who's watching. And I want to just say this race is about a clear choice. More of the same, more insiders, monarchy type establishment, the money controlling everything. Somebody said, we're desperate. I am desperate, not to be in this seat, but to protect the freedom of my children and yours.
There you go.
I'm desperate to stop the fiscal bleed that America is experiencing until we're completely abolished. I'm running in this race because I love the Georgia's 1st District with all of my heart. And I'm asking you for your vote. I would be honored to serve you. And I will be a public servant and serve you, and I will never be bought. I'm Candace Taylor. I'm the one you've been waiting for.
Nailed it.
There she
I'm
goes.
Tina Tyus Shaw. Thank you for joining us for the Atlanta Press Club Loudermilk Young.
All right. Well, I appreciate you guys joining here tonight. So you guys, honestly, it's cool.
I can't hear you.
Oh my God, did we lose you? Madeline.
I'll be back.
I can hear you, Jay.
All right, it's Madeline. We've been through this before. But no, I think it's honestly cool what they did to show this debate or whatever, because most people they don't have the opportunity to see this stuff. This stuff is going on behind the scenes. This stuff is happening, across the state or whatever. And I think it was really cool what they did to publish this. And that's also why I wanted to do a commentary on it, because I think that regular people need to see these things so they can understand who they're voting for. Because if you just saw what's in the mail, if you just saw a commercial or something like that, you don't know exactly the person that you're voting for. And so that's why I wanted to give a little commentary about this. And we have 12,000 people listening. So we got it out to a lot of different people.
So, Jay, can I say one more thing? The thing that pains me the most about Jim Kingston and his campaign, I mean, he said it right there at the debate, that the one thing that his dad has taught him is about hard work. Our district is full of blue-collar workers. I mean, most of our district is built, by the blue-collar workers. And Jim Kingston makes his tour stops out to these farms. He's definitely got more photo ops on farms. He goes to these industrial plants to go meet with the executives at the industrial plants to pretend like he cares about the workers there. But I'm just telling you, man, I'm not one to be represented by a man with soft hands. That's not that's not somebody I'm going to vote for. Not for someone who says that they're going to be in my corner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, whatever, you can take our commentary or not, but I think if you really watch that, you can see that the guy's full of shit. Honestly, he's not going to do the things that he says he's going to do. And I think regular people, if you look at him, you look him in the eyes and you see what he's about or whatever, they can see that it's all it's not real. So that's another reason why I want to show this too. And I think it's important. I think this is the way we do things now. The world is modernizing, and social media and stuff like that. This is how we're going to have to get out to our people, because the media and stuff like that, they're going to spin who they want, which is typically liberals. And so if we're going to get this stuff out there, we got to show it on our social media platforms. We got to use these things to our advantage to get the word out on who these people are, because otherwise regular people don't know. They're in their lives. So you got something, Madeline?
Well, I mean, I have a lot I could say, but I'll stop myself. I will say this: for anybody in Georgia listening, I would say, besides Pat Farrell, Brian Montgomery, Krista Penn, Eugene Yu, for sure. They're great people. I'm sure personally, I don't know any of them, but they don't have a fighting chance to win in this election. They should have conceded and dropped out and endorsed one of the candidates that they support. Well, and yes, of course, I wish they would have dropped out and endorsed Candace. But the fact is anytime you go to vote for one of them, you're just giving Kingston a win. Oh. And that's not great. We really need to get behind the top two people in this race. And so I would say this: take a look at this debate and tell me who you really think is the top two candidates and choose between them. Because dividing up that vote is not going to help get that person, the right person, across the finish line.
Yeah, absolutely right. And so that's why, I support Candace Taylor. I believe that she is the number one candidate. If you talk to anybody around here, they all know who she is. They all know what she's about, and they all know what she's going to do in DC. They have no question about what her character is. And if you talk to anybody about Jim Kingston, nobody really likes him. They know who Jack is. They know what the family's about. They know what they're going to get, because it's going to be, a continuation of his dad's last term in Congress. And so that's not a good thing. I think we need somebody who's going to be a fighter, and I think we need somebody who's going to, be anti-swamp, and that's what I see Candace is. She's going to be anti-swamp, and when she goes to DC.
Hey, and one thing that I heard from one of the biggest contenders on the Democratic side, not that there's many on that side of the aisle, but as recently as today, I heard something to the effect that Candace will be the one that he votes for if he doesn't win the primary, and that he appreciates the fact that she is unapologetically authentic.
Yeah.
And I also can say this, I'll screenshot it and I'll post it out. There's Democrats that have said Candace has such the grassroots energy that they would rather go against Kingston in the general than go against Candace, because they know if Candace wins this, everybody will rally behind her, including our president. It's not that our president doesn't like Candace. Our president just endorsed Lindsey Graham. His endorsements have never been great. Okay. That's number one. But number two, in politics, there's a lot of paid endorsements. There's a lot of things we all have to do and play a game. Trump, unfortunately, plays a really bad game when it comes to endorsements. But I don't believe that Kingston's the right person. I think there's a lot of people that disagree with Trump here. And if you go look, all the Democrats, they want to run against Kingston because he's the easiest person to compare to the Democrats. They all are establishment. They all play the same game. His dad is friends with Joe Biden. They call him Uncle Joe for a reason. I take that for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, the thing about the president's endorsements is I can think for myself. I don't need him to think for me. I did vote for one of his endorsements. I voted for Burt Jones today. I also voted for Mike Collins, which I think may get the endorsement also. But and I voted for Candace. So I can look at these candidates. I'm evolved enough to where I make an educated decision, and that's also why I use this platform to kind of get it out to regular people so they can make their decisions too. Because I try and make it easy for people that have a lot going on in their lives, because it's hard right now. People got to bust their ass to make ends meet, and so we need to help them understand what impact their vote makes, and so that's why I do this. So I appreciate you two for coming in here tonight and helping me with this. It was fun. It was fun. There's
thank you for having me, Jay.
Yeah, we're not biased or anything, but
well, we did disclose that when we started or whatever, but the people can decide for themselves. Maybe we're being a little too harsh, but I don't think so. I think we were spot on everything that we said, and I think the people will be able to decide that for themselves. So thank you for joining me here, Matthew. You're welcome to come back anytime.
Absolutely. Thank you, buddy.
Yep. And thank you, Madeline, for joining me here tonight too and helping out with this. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Bye.
So
have a good night.
All right. Appreciate you. All right. Well, you can stay here for a little bit. So, oh my God, I lost her again. All right. Well, I'm just going to remove her. All right. So thank you for joining me here, Madeline. Sorry, I lost the audio, but anyways, good debate, good show. Thank you for all the reposts. Thank you for the comments on there. The chat was really lit up tonight. This Wednesday, I have Jordan Brace, fantastic patriot, Gen Z out in California. Really excited to hear from her. She has massive social media accounts. Really just a fantastic young lady. It's going to be a good show. And then I got some, maybe a show with Angela this week too. But thank you for tuning in. Tune in on Wednesday for our show with Jordan. And I appreciate everybody that joined us tonight. So thank you. Have a good night.